Hello and welcome back to A Method to the Madness, our Breaking Bad edition. I'm your host Mitchie, and joining me as usual is Patrick.
Hello.
And this week we're covering Season 1, Episode 6 of Breaking Bad, titled Crazy Handful of Nothin. This episode finally sees Walt returning to meth cooking, which is an exciting part of the series. The last two episodes have been a little bit understated, but also very important for their character development.
He finally adopts the Heisenberg persona.
Yeah, and shaves his head.
Yeah.
That's important. Yeah. Can you take us through the plot, please, Patrick?
Yeah, I can do. Walt and Jesse come to an agreement. Walt will be the cook and the silent partner in their meth operation, while Jesse will sell their product on the street. Walt also demands no further bloodshed. Meanwhile, as Walt's chemotherapy continues, he tells Skylar Elliot's check came in he deposited it, when in fact he is struggling to pay for the treatment and plans on using his meth profits to cover it. At a family therapy session, Skylar tells Walt that she is concerned about him missing hours, but he explains that he just likes to be alone sometimes and takes walks.
Yeah, walks. Out in the wilderness.
Yeah.
I like the wildlife.
Look at the cacti and the nothing else because there's nothing out there.
I like the shot though where it transitions to that, and the shot of the cacti and then another cacti and then some fucking piece of shit shrub, but then behind that is this artificial RV that's billowing at this fucking orange smoke, and it's great.
Yeah.
I like the opening in this episode where it's a classic Breaking Bad opening where prior to the opening credits, the creators always seem to foreshadow that end or some part of the episode. In this case, it's him blowing up Tuco's crib, so to speak. So yeah, it's I love it when they do that, because you're just wondering. It's always like, for the first time watcher, you're like, how the fuck did you end up in this situation? Like, he's bald and he just blew up a whole bloody thing, and he's got like a bag of money or something. And it's like, when you come from the previous episode where he only just said, I want to cook, and he's still got his hair on his head, it's kind of like, wow, we've got a lot to cover in this episode.
I remember the first time I saw it, I thought there was like a head in that bag.
Yeah, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah, that would be a bit intense. Next paragraph.
Yeah.
While cooking meth, Jesse observes a radiotherapy burn on Walt's chest and realizes he is taking care of his family before he dies of lung cancer. Jesse finishes their current batch and spends all night selling it, bringing Walt his share of $1,300, far less than he expected. Jesse explains that they need a distributor if they want to make more money. After Crazy 8's death, drug lord Tuco Salamanca has taken over his territory. Jesse gains a meeting with Tuco after getting his friend Skinny Pete, who served time in prison alongside Tuco, to vouch for him. Though Tuco is willing to pay $35,000 for a pound of meth, he insists on paying only after his dealers have completed the sales. When Jesse refuses, Tuco severely beats him and lands him in the hospital.
So what I like about the fact that how Jesse finds out he's got cancer is, again, clever writing. It's all linked together, and it's kind of hard to explain why I really like it. So basically, he has got lung cancer and he gets chemotherapy, and the chemotherapy is what makes him cough up and goes outside to see Jesse, and then he ends up opening his shirt because he's hot, and then that reveals the chemotherapy things, and and that's how Jesse finds out, and it's all like it's all inexplicably linked in a way where it's kind of like everything's all a cause from the same thing, like. And then it turns out that Jesse knows exactly why, because his aunt had lung cancer as well, and then she died because of the lung cancer, and that's why he lives in this house, which was his auntie's house, right? Like, it's all just like everything's kind of connected in a way. Nothing's kind of left loose in terms of kind of how it feels. Everything has its purpose in the plot. It's just great. Like, it's just really smart.
Yeah, no, it is. I like how, Walt gives Jesse the reins to make his meth.
Yeah.
And Jesse, by this point, he's had quite a bit of experience. In the last episode, he cooked a couple batches.
Yeah.
You try to use Walt's formula. And then, throughout the series, especially later on, they're kind of partners on equal standing because both of them know how to make it perfect.
Yeah.
But this is where Jesse truly blossoms into his own cook.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And also we get one of the I reckon the best montage scene yet, which is when they're drug dealing. It's so fucking good. Like, it really captures what it's like to be dealing meth, I think. Like,
oh yeah, you know what that's like, do you?
Yeah, no, I don't, but I do now, thanks to Breaking Bad, because of that montage.
Yeah, it also really communicates well the violence of meth dealing, like with Tuco.
Yeah.
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 You understand why
that's-
Jesse was so hesitant.
Oh my god, like Walt and Jesse are great characters, and there's great protagonists in this show, but they're great antagonists too. And Gus Fring being one of them later on, he's a really famous one. But Tuco, I think, is my favorite antagonist. Just he's not in it for very long. Pretty much this episode, next one, and then he's dead in the one after that. But he's good. Like he just is just this fucking drugged up drug lord. Like he's on the drugs, and then he's a drug lord too. And when he fucking snorts it, and the way that the actor acts, he's just it's just perfect. Like it's so funny watching it. It's also really fucked up, like and then just beating Jesse, like poor Jesse, man. Like
yeah, I know.
Like he's just suffered so much, and he keeps suffering, and he gets the shit beaten out of him. Like
I mean, I'm really proud of Jesse in that scene too for like kind of holding his ground. He insists that like no money up front, and he does get his
which is surprising.
Why is it surprising?
I would have thought he'd give up.
Oh right, yeah, but no,
because like I would. Fuck that.
Our boy's got resolve.
Yeah, no. If someone's got grill on his teeth, he's fucking serious. Like and also we get to explore more Skinny Pete's character, and I love. Just Skinny Pete is such a good character. He's not. He doesn't have much depth in it, though. He has these little quirks later on, but
he's really good at piano.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, but he's just such. He acts him. The actor for Skinny Pete's just so good. Like just really capturing that like kind of hood rat like drug dealer vibe. It's fucking great.
Yeah. Next paragraph.
Sure.
Meanwhile, Hank traces the gas mask found in the desert to Walt's high school. Hank and Walt take inventory of the chemistry lab to find other equipment missing, leading Hank to suspect that a student obtained a key to the lab storage room. Later, Hank arrests a school janitor named Hugo, who would have had the keys and had a previous record for drug possession. Walt feels guilty letting Hugo take the fall and tries to contact Jesse, only to find about his hospitalization. He visits Jesse and learns what happened with Tuco.
So already we've come like dangerously close to, I guess, exposing Walt's true identity. Like Hank is in the school checking the chemistry, and then he gets a phone call from Jesse while Hank is right next to him. He'd be busted right then and there. And this is only like episode 6 of the first season. It's crazy how tense it is. Like, the use of irony. We know what's going on here, but Hank has no idea, and Hank would never suspect his brother-in-law because he seems to be this innocent kind of feeble man, like I've said before, and yet it's Walt the whole time. It's just great. And then when Hugo's the one that gets
poor
arrested,
Hugo.
So I know, because they build it up, like he keeps coming into the bathroom to help Walt out when he's vomiting because of the chemo, and then they arrest him, and you're like, fuck, like that hits hard.
The injustice. Yeah. Yeah, I love how in these early episodes Walt slips up so much, and he's so incompetent at being a criminal. And then as the series goes on, he becomes very competent. And like it's such a good progression. Anywhere you are in the series, you can see kind of what stage he's at being this kingpin. Yeah.
So I do like the poker game because what Hank says? He's like, oh, you wouldn't be able to recognize a criminal if he was close enough to check you for a hernia or something like that. And it's like again, like right there sitting next to him. It's just it's just great, like how close it is, and it remains like that for the whole 4 seasons, and then the most like kind of inconceivable thing is what actually exposes Walt to Hank by the end of it, which is what's funny.
Yeah, again, not very smart by Walt showing this attitude to Hank, but now
but he knows Hank would never suspect him. That's the funny thing.
Yeah, but it's because he does shit like this throughout the series that Hank eventually does suspect him.
Yeah. Also, Walt actually finds out that Crazy 8 was a snitch.
That's right, yeah.
Which is actually important because I think he then feels that there maybe was some more a little bit more justification for murdering him, because if Crazy 8 if he let him go, then Walt would have been busted, because Crazy 8 would have just told the cops who he was.
Yeah, true.
So that might actually, because he obviously doesn't want to murder, but he does still continue murdering in the TV series later on. I guess that kind of maybe gives him a little bit more justification and fuels him on to be able to murder again.
See, that's why it seemed weird to me when Crazy 8 had the motive to kill Walt when he pulled out the piece of plate, because, as you say, like, he could have just gone to the police and dobbed him in, you know?
Yeah, true. No, and now I kind of get what you mean.
Yeah.
But maybe he just wanted to as well, because he's a fucked up person.
Yeah,
'Cause
maybe.
he was a drug dealer. He's got an excuse there to murder someone. Yeah, all right.
All right. Now starting to lose his hair from the chemo, Walt decides to shave off what remaining hair he has left. Afterwards, he arranges for a meeting with Tuco under the name Heisenberg, demanding $50,000 from Tuco, $35,000 for the meth Tuco took from Jesse, and $15,000 for the pain and suffering of Jesse's treatment. Seeing Walt with another bag of material, Tuco calls his bluff and threatens Walt. Walt throws a piece of the material against the floor, which explodes. The entire floor is shaken, blowing out the windows and knocking everyone in the room off their feet. Walt reveals that the bag contains fulminated mercury. Walt threatens to smash the entire bag to the ground. Tuco submits and agrees to the payment, as well as agreeing to a purchase for the next week, offering Walter $35,000 for the next pound of meth. Walter demands instead that Tuco buy 2 pounds of meth a week for $70,000. Tuco, incredulous, agrees. Walt leaves the building. Once back in his car, Walt exhibits an intense rush of what he has just done. So, is this legit, Mitchie? Fulminated mercury, does it actually do that?
Well, I don't think it does, but the interesting thing is that he says it's fulminated mercury and a little bit of chemistry.
Right, yeah.
So I think, I mean, I actually don't really know, but fulminated mercury is defined as a primary explosive, and it's very sensitive to shock, you know, so presumably it just explodes when you hit it or something, but I don't know if it'd be that much. That's a fucking big explosion.
Yeah. Doesn't he give...
Also, it doesn't make much sense, because like if it blew out the windows like that, then it probably seriously hurt Walt, who threw it at his own feet.
Right.
But anyway.
Yeah, the only...
You know, you got to blow it up. Yeah.
The only explanation I could think of was that, like, it extends in like a 2D plane, so because Walt threw it and like below him, it didn't affect him, but that doesn't seem right.
But then but then you're just relying on the random rotation of it hitting down, and it might have hit him the wrong way, you know, like... Yeah, it's cool.
It's a
though.
bit weird.
It is, and that's what I love about this show. Like, so because this is what's foreshadowed at the very beginning of the episode. But when it was foreshadowed at the beginning of the episode, he's in the classroom at the same time, and he's talking about slow and fast reactions, and explosion is a fast reaction. And you know, if you've done basic chemistry, that's obviously common knowledge. But most people just watch movies and don't realize what really an explosion is. You just take it for granted. And again, it's like, it's always connecting everything that he does to science, and I love that. You know, so far everything has been connected to that, and so is this thing. And it's just such a cool scene too. Like, he's finally become Heisenberg, the notorious kingpin that we get to meet later on in the series. You know, he's becoming that person. And when you have no idea, if you're the first time watching this and you think it's a bag of meth and he throws it at the ground, it explodes. It is it really kind of elevates Walter in terms of his audacity, I guess.
Right, yeah. It's, you know, when he gets back in the car and he just like screams.
Yeah.
Obviously, you get the sense that he was 50-50 on whether or not that was going to work. He was either going to get the money or he was going to, you know, get shot or something.
Yeah.
And then in that moment, he realizes, oh, fuck, he can achieve anything, actually. And I think, yeah, it's the catalyst for Heisenberg.
Yeah, and Tuco respects him for it too. He smiles when Walt leaves, because he's like, fuck, like, you know, like, finally there's this guy, like, I don't want to fuck around with him. I'm going to treat him at the same level I am, you know. And I think that means a lot to Tuco, given how much of an animal he is. And then we get the name Heisenberg too. And you've talked about this in that Prelude episode, but he obviously, the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, I guess that's why he would call himself that, right? Is that actually why he calls himself that?
I don't think it's explicitly said in the series, but just in terms of like thematics, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because Heisenberg isn't a chemist.
Right, yeah,
Which is why I was always a little bit confused when I first watched the series. I'm like, Heisenberg's a physicist, well known for quantum physics, and that's nothing to do with what Walt does. I mean, it's science, but, you know, like... When you get to that level of science where he's like this super genius chemist, you know, like jumping to Heisenberg, who's a physicist, is like doing history or something. Like, it's a completely different realm of study. So it seemed a little bit strange to me.
Sounds cool.
It does, yeah.
And you know, like, that could like actually be his name for all Tuco knows, like, because it's German. You know, he could just like assume that that's his actual name or something.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I mean, it's not like many people know who Heisenberg really is.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And the last thing, $70,000 a week. If that he gets that for consistently for a whole year, that's $3.7 million. And this is where the greed really comes out, because we learn at the start of the episode, like, Walt gets a share of $1,300, which is like obviously bugger all. And he's like, he thought it was going to be $26,000, and it wasn't even that. It was only $2,600, and he's expecting like a lot of money from this. So I guess $70,000 a week does cut it for him, but that's a lot of fucking money. It's $3.7 million a year, not even tax because it's illegal. It's just like, it's pretty crazy the amount of money that he's going to make from this. And obviously it doesn't last very long, and the money isn't very consistent, but if he was able to consistently make this money, he would only need to work a couple months and then he's pretty much set.
Yeah, if only he stuck with that.
If only he didn't. What did he do? What happened in the next? Why did Tuco? I can't even remember now. We'll find out next step.
We'll find out.
Yeah, cool.
I
like this ep. It's finally starting the journey of Heisenberg and Walter the Kingpin.
Hell yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Shit gets exciting now.
Certainly does.
Got anything else?
Nope.
Sweet. Well, join us next time for episode 7, the final episode of season 1.
Alrighty. See you next time.
Booyah! Wow! this kicks like a mule with his balls wrapped in duct tape. Wow! Where'd you get it?
I cooked it.
Bullshit. Who are you working for?
If you like this series, Mitch is going to tell you where you can find more of these.
Yep, so you can find us on Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. And we've also got a website, amttm.com, where you can find our fabulous episodes on Breaking Bad.
If you have any questions, queries, insights, or criticism, you can send them to mail@amttm.com.
And as always, thank you for listening.